Hey, everybody. We are here again for another week of the Full Ascend podcast. I am Andrew Leonard.
And I am Mark Leonard. And you know what? Okay, so funny thing has happened to me recently. I was at the gym, and a huge shout out to my new friend Dallas. I don't even know if you listen to me, but huge shout out to him. We were having this great conversation at the gym, and I got to meet his wife. He met my wife. We were all just kind of chatting. He happens to be in our ward. And the comment that came up was, Elders Quorum sucks. And his wife, she starts laughing and she goes, she goes, I bet you wish it was like Relief Society. And mom was like, oh yeah. And two things came to my mind. It's like, I want food because they had food
Yeah.
recently. Like,
Oh,
when was the last
lucky.
time we had food in Elders Quorum?
I don't think I ever have. Not that I can remember, anyways.
Okay, what is the rule number one to the way to a man's heart?
Food,
Food.
girls,
What's rule number two?
girls.
Probably girls. Yeah, that's so true. So since we can't, I don't know, like we don't have girls in elders
Yeah.
quorum, we 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 must have food, and there is never any food. So we were talking about how just elders quorum is, and I thought I actually felt really bad because I don't want to bash on the church. I don't want to bash on our culture. I really don't, but Elder's Quorum can be super boring, and we were talking last week, and this is part 2 on this. So, I don't know. I don't know where we're gonna go, but actually, I know
Yeah.
where I wanna go. I wanna see what you're thinking.
Yeah. So I have a lot of thoughts. Obviously, we started it last week. And like you said, don't want to bash, but I think there's a difference between bashing and being brutally honest with facts and okay, maybe not facts, brutally honest with just the way it seems to go and the trends that are part of this. And I mean, I had a couple experiences this week. One, had a meeting with the first counselor in my bishopric, and he he basically said, "Hey, Andrew, you would fit in really well outside of Utah because your views are just a little bit." A little bit, how did he say it? I cannot remember exactly how he said it, but basically he was saying, "You're not afraid to say it the way that it is." And I said, "Yeah, exactly. You know what? Elders Quorum kind of sucks. It's kind of boring." So that was experience number one. Experience number two that I have, obviously, and for those of you guys who are listening that don't know, I have another business on top of this where I help people redo their parking lots, whether that's striping, sealing, whatever it is. I ended up going up to a church that I was giving a quote for, and this wonderful lady helped walk me around. And as we were talking, she actually started telling me just a little bit about how they do things with their church. It was very different than mine. I love religion. I love religion. I love learning about people's religion. So I started asking some questions, and she started telling me a little bit just about how their services go, the people that they have there, these different classes that they have. And they have this guy who teaches helps teach one of their classes. And this class is to help people learn about the gospel, learn about the way that they teach and introduce people to what makes their religion different. And this guy that teaches their class was, when he converted, an LDS bishop. That kind of blew my mind a little bit, kind of interesting, but she specifically said, he came and he brought 15 different men with him because they all felt like something was missing where they were at. Mind
Whoa.
blowing. That was her words, not mine. It blew me away. 15 men followed this bishop to a different religion because they all felt like something was missing. That tells you there is something wrong fundamentally with the way that we are doing elders quorum.
Yeah, but here's the problem that I see. So I walk into elders quorum, right? And so our ward just recently, this is a weird thing. Our ward, I don't know, split. I guess it was disbanded. I guess that would be the
Yeah.
better term. They got rid of our ward and put us into 3 different wards, and then the next week, they split the stake. And I go, "Okay, I could kinda see how this was lined up." However, so I show up to elders quorum recently. my very first time in this quote unquote new ward, haven't moved. It's not, it's not a split. It was a disbanding. So now I'm this orphan child. And I turned to the guy next to me. I was like, has anyone done introductions like on all of us new guys? And he goes, no. And he raises his hand. And I thought, well, okay. He goes, hey, I think we should all get to know Mark. And I was like, oh my goodness gracious. Okay, so here we go. So I stood up and introduced myself. One, completely awkward, which is so not like me. It was actually really kind of funny. I,
That's
I didn't
awesome.
know what to say because all of a sudden I'm put on the spot. But the other thing I kept thinking about is if they didn't introduce me, maybe they did introduce all the other new guys the first week that ward was put together. However, no one came up to me to introduce themselves in the handbook, section 8.2.1.2. It feels like a legal document. Gospel learning in quorum meetings. Elders quorums meet on Sundays for the following purposes: strengthening faith, build unity, strengthen families and homes, and coordinate efforts to assist God in his work of salvation and exaltation in the ward. Okay, the thing that got me was build unity. The
I'm
fa-
so glad you brought that up because I did the same thing. I went to the handbook to see what it said because I was curious what it said to know if we're just way off the mark here. So I'm so glad you went to the handbook.
I, I don't think we are because, okay, if I go back to my master's degree was all about creating learning environments and how to create a learning environment where people will be more successful. A vast majority of that study was the psychology of learning, probably where I got a lot of this idea of going on to do my doctorate because it aligns with the same thing, the psychology of how people work together, the sociology, the physiology. And I've got to tell you, if we are supposed to be teaching doctrine, don't you think doctrine will be better understood if we were more unified?
Oh my goodness, yes. I as I went to the handbook and I was reading exactly what you read, it actually led me to go to the internet and start Googling. I just Googled, I said, hey, what are ways that we could change elders quorum? And I actually found some pretty cool Reddit feeds. And I'm going to read some Reddit. I'm going to read from the Reddit feed probably a decent amount today.
You're killing me because I did the same thing. This is so
I
this is
I
awesome.
hope that we're on the same one then. So I agree with you that we need to set the base because as I was reading through this, and I'll get to reading it, throughout the episode today, but as I get to reading it, the what I came to was that guys have lost the desire. They just don't
Yeah.
care anymore. I mean, it's come to the point where most of the guys in here were like, I don't even want an activity. I don't want to be there. I don't know these guys. I don't need friends. I don't like blah blah blah. Oh my goodness, you're telling me that you truly don't care? Don't believe it. I think deep down you do. I think you've lost the desire because it seems so awkward, uncomfortable, weird. People don't care. People don't show up when they do try to have activities. There's so many different reasons. We need to start with a very simple foundation, I think, because if you can start with the foundation, build that unity, then the rest will come. Then it truly will become a unifying brotherhood and a quorum of guys who care about each other. And then the spiritual side will come, right? Then we'll be able to help boost each other's testimony. Then we'll be able to be there when somebody needs a blessing. Then we'll be able to have somebody who truly feels like they can confide in somebody else and let them know about struggles that they're having. So much will come if we can just build a little bit of joy and friendship and maybe get rid of the uncomfortable for a second.
Yeah, but here's the big problem. So I walk into this new elders quorum. I'm not serving in a ward calling. I have a stake calling that takes me away, so no one knows me. And I have, I'll say in air tags, no authority in there. So I'm not a teacher. I'm not even assigned as a ministering brother, even though I've asked, like, please give me someone. not because I'm great at it, but because I honestly, I feel alone, Andrew. I
Yeah.
show up to church, I'm like, well, at least assign me someone to be friends with so I can get out of my own comfort zone and force myself to go get to know someone. But the reality is, most of us don't have a calling that allows us to change the culture of a classroom or a culture of a group. Eh, Ironic because so much of my master's and my doctorate focused on culture creation, and it's even I did a lot of culture creation things when I worked for the church. I did a lot of culture creation things when I worked in corporate America. But so many of us are like, what are you talking about? I can't even do anything. I'm just going to sit here and read my ESPN score. So I I'm not sure where you're going to go, but I sure hope that we end up talking a little bit about what can we do personally to help build up, even if we don't have the quote unquote calling to lead.
Definitely. And I would agree that most of us probably, aren't Elders Quorum presidents. I'm sure we have some that listen, maybe some Elders Quorum teachers as well that might be able to help influence it as well. I have some ideas with that. I think the problem is it has to take a group effort. One guy in the quorum isn't going to make a difference. Two guys in the quorum might be able to start making a difference. But I think that they also need the backing of the Elders Quorum presidents or the teachers or something. And so maybe that's step number 1 of infiltrating is
Infiltrating, that's
yeah,
amazing.
we're gonna we're here to infiltrate our elders quorums with some positivity, okay? I think the first step is maybe uh, I don't I don't know my elders quorum president really well. He lives right next door to me, literally next door neighbors. Had a couple conversations with him when we've been outside. He used to sell for a company that as a general manager, I bought tools from. And so kind of funny little connection there. But I don't know him well enough to be able to feel like I could just go to him one day and say, hey, here are some ideas I have for Elder Squirm. And then are they even going to be, and funny enough, he just walked past my window out there. That's hilarious. Are they even going to be implemented? No idea. Absolutely no idea. But I think that is part of one of the first steps is going to your eldest quorum president, going to the leaders and saying, "Hey, I feel like we should try and build a little bit of friendship here. Here's some ideas that I have," and then maybe taking some of it into your own hands. For example, I don't think it would be a bad idea. I know the Relief Society has it. In fact, we even have apps now that I don't know if it's WhatsApp. I don't know what the ward is using, but the ward has an app now where you can communicate through it. We get all of the activities for our young women in there. We get everything in there. Create a group in there.
So
Create a
I
group in there,
okay,
and
so
then
we have that. We have that, and it's not, for our ward, and although the church has one that's called Circles or something like that, I don't think
yes, yeah,
it's really being utilized a whole lot. We use GroupMe
okay.
for our ward, and it's been awesome because that before I even showed up to our very first elders quorum, I'm like, "Oh, I feel alone. It's March. What do you know? There's something called March Madness." I created a bracket, and here's the funny thing. I haven't watched a basketball game in years. And by the way, my ranking in the bracket proves that I have not watched a basketball game in years. Uh, and I picked a dark horse to win it all. Go Houston. Let's see if they can actually
Nice.
pull that off. And of course, we live in Arizona, so almost everyone picks Arizona. But okay, I'm getting off the point here. I'm like, well, I don't know anyone. I'll just go ahead and I will start a bracket and I put out there onto link, hey, we're part of that new assimilated group. Trying to get to know some of you guys. Here's a bracket I created. By the way, winner gets Jeremiah's Italian ice cream cake that
Sweet.
that I will provide. Right. So I'm like, and we have 18 guys in there. That's probably
That's
the
phenomenal.
that's probably the biggest activity this ward has had in years. And it's just over a bracket that sucks.
I love that. But you took it into your own hands and you just said, you know what? I'm going to create a bracket. That was actually one of my thoughts that I was, as as I was thinking about it this week, sorry, I'm getting excited, so I'm stuttering. That happens, guys. If I have strong emotions, I stutter. But it's so true. Like, just take it into your own hands. It's not that hard. You decided, you know what, this would be fun. 18 guys joined that sucker. That is so cool.
Yeah, so then get this. So then this ward, you are voluntold, which I actually 100% agree with. We are voluntold on this was our Saturday to clean the church. There are like 13 or 14 families, right? And there's supposed to be a lead family. Well, I show up. We're the second of only 3 couples that showed up. One, I go to introduce myself, and the guy goes, "Oh, yeah, you're the one that started the bracket." I was all, huh, it worked. No way. This guy knows who I am because I got out of my comfort zone on something I don't even follow. I could, I don't think I could care less about March Madness.
Yeah,
However, I'm competitive, so I do care about winning or at
definitely.
least showing up somewhat well. I'm now ranked like number 14 out of 18. Whatever. I don't even care. I've got guys talking about it. And on Sunday, I heard a couple guys going like, "Yeah, my bracket is already busted." I'm like, yes, that's what I'm talking about. They found some commonality there, and it wasn't the Elders Quorum president. It wasn't the Relief Society presidency. It wasn't the bishop. It was some dude who doesn't know anyone there. And I was just willing to go, I wonder what will happen if I do this. Throw spaghetti at the wall, see what sticks.
I love it. And you know what? It doesn't have to be sports, right? Because I'm sure that somebody's going to listen and go, well, I don't like sports. Because that's one of the things as I was reading through this Reddit feed, this guy was like, men are just big boys. Do the things you would have done in scouting. Just make them accessible for the elderly and physically impaired. Shooting, outdoor cooking, fishing, other manly skills. Bonus if you find a way for men to involve their wives. And this guy responded and said, I'd be interested in 0 out of 4 of these things. And this other guy was like, "Yeah, well, years ago, my eldest quorum decided to go shooting on federal land. Long story short, their fines were very high. I've never regretted not going to an eldest quorum activity." This is the problem is some of these guys are going, "Oh, well, I don't like that." Okay, you know what? I don't give a crap about video games. I don't. I hate them. I think they're stupid. But you know what I would do? I would be willing to go today and buy an Xbox so that on Sunday I could be like, "Hey, you know what? I'm going to hop on. Anybody play this game? Yep, there's a group of you that do. Fantastic. Let's play it." And then the next Sunday, "Hey, you know what, guys? I've got flasketball. That's a sport I learned about a couple years ago from actually my eldest corn present. Pretty
Wait,
cool.
what sport?
Flasketball. I'll get to that in like 2 seconds. But, like,
It
I would
sounds
be
like a
willing
drinking game.
it kinda does. It kinda does. It's not. It's actually a lot of fun. But, like, 1 week, you bring some guys together with sports like you did. 1 week, it could be a video game. I don't really care about video games, but you know what? Cool. 1 week, maybe it's what else do guys do? You're going hiking, you're going fishing. You're going fishing, just post in the group, "Hey guys, going fishing. Anybody that wants to come along." You might get one person, you might get 10 people. I don't know. But you know what? At least you're trying. And I think the more activities that happen like that, the more willing people will be to show up to the bigger activities that the Elders Quorum tries to put together.
That's because they feel like there's some unity, there's some commonality. For me, I'm literally going to be like, well, I okay, someone gave us a gift card to a local barbecue place. Mom doesn't love barbecue. I do.
Neither does my wife. What is wrong with them?
I don't know.
It's so good. Barbecue is like the best food ever.
Well, I agree. It's its own food group and it's like the base. But here's the funny thing. So I could either be like, well, that's just more barbecue for me, or I can just throw out there on that group me or WhatsApp or Circle or whatever the ward uses and be like, hey guys, I'm going to be at insert barbecue restaurant or salad bar. I don't care what it is. I really don't. And I'm going to be here at 12 on Wednesday. Join me. Would love to get to
Yeah.
know you. Most guys will show up for food, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Food for sure. For sure.
Yeah. Amen. Amen. And that's the other thing. And this is so funny because I actually told I'm friends with our bishop And Bishop, if you're listening, oh boy, I know what this is gonna backfire on me. Um, I told him about this podcast that we're getting ready to film about the Elders Quorum and how to create cohesiveness. And he goes, "Oh, give us time, it'll get fixed." And I looked him straight in the eye and I said, "I doubt it. I don't think it will." And he
It's
kind of
been
looked at
200
me.
years. So how is it going to suddenly get fixed?
Yeah, because no one is willing to just step up and start being like, "Hey, I'm gonna go do guy things, whatever that is. You wanna go look at cars? Let's go look at cars. You wanna go you wanna watch CNN? Fine. I might, possibly. I'm lonely enough, I would consider watching CNN with a friend."
Yeah, yeah. You want to watch CNN? I've got earplugs. It's all right, but I'll show up. I will be
Well,
there, and I will sit with you.
yeah,
Like,
and then I'll ask, "What do you want me to bring for food?" Because
yeah,
we're gonna like chips and salsa? Let's do it doesn't matter. We all have ways that we could just start inviting, and I truly believe that's where Elders Quorum is broken. Is
yeah,
that, to your point, that apathy, people just like, "I give up."
yeah. I mean, I read through this, and these are some of the responses. Basically, this guy just says, "Hey, anybody have any good activities? Because the ones I've tried have sucked." And basically, it goes on its tangent. It's like 4 paragraphs long. Not gonna read the whole thing, but just some of the different responses. "I'd rather spend more time with my own wife and family than spend any time with only the men in my ward, but that's just me. I understand that a lot of men like to have men buddies to hang around with and do things with, and that's their choice if that's what they'd rather do." Responses: "I'd rather spend more time with my own wife as well. Same. I have less than 0% interest in leaving my wife at home with the kids while I go hang out with the guys." Um, you know, I second that motion or concur, whatever the appropriate term in this case. You know, I told you the one from earlier. I'd be interested in 0 out of these activities. I volunteered to teach jujitsu at an elders quorum activity. I was the only person that showed up. That was the last activity we ever had. Um, it's just I think the problem is that we're so far disconnected. It's just not going to get fixed like the bishop said it's going to get fixed. It's not going to.
Okay,
It's going to take a lot of individual effort. And I think, like you said, for beginners, for those of us in the quorum, I think our responsibility, we'll start here. And I do want to talk about some of the stuff I think elders quorum presidents and stuff can do. But for us as members of the quorum, put together a group text with the men in the group, or a group me, or a WhatsApp, or the circle, whatever you want to use. Put it together and just start putting in there when you're doing an activity. I think that's step number one. Like you said, put it in there when you're doing an activity. On top of that, okay, maybe you don't want to leave your wife that often. I think that's a cop out. I think that's the excuse because you and funny enough, we talked about myself with this a couple weeks ago with the guys at work, right? What am I willing to do? What's worth it to me? Well, it's worth it to you once you see the benefit. It's worth it to you once you realize that it's actually needed. And so I think it'd be really important to say, hey, we can do activities for the family every Wednesday night, right over here by Thanksgiving Point. Every Wednesday night, there's a place called Curry Pizza or something like that, and they do a car show. People just bring their their nice cars, put it in the parking lot. People eat, they walk around, look at the cars. Just throw in there that you're going to something like that, and see if anybody shows up. Maybe 1 or 2 people will, maybe nobody will, but at least you're trying.
you know, I think oh man, my mind is all over the place on thoughts on this. I'm just going back to when I was teaching workshops at the corporate level, and I was bringing in sales teams, or I was bringing in just whatever type of team it was. Even if they were a cohesive team, I would try to do some sort of team building activity. And it sounds so kooky and that people go, "Well, I don't want to do that." But I read one today or yesterday when I was thinking about this, that he goes, "So I removed all the chairs from the gym floor." Did you see this one? He goes, "I removed
Mm.
all the chairs from the gym floor." And he stood at one side. He had everyone here. And he said, "We're currently on the south side. Imagine this room is our ward boundaries. I'm on the south side. So directly across from me is north. We have east and west. Go stand approximately where you live in the ward boundary." And so then everyone's like, "Well, okay, that's cool." So they kind of walk. He goes, "Okay, those 2 or 3, 4 guys around you, say hi, just get to know them. Ask a little bit about them if you're not sure. And he gave some ideas of questions that they could ask to get to know each other. But most of us have been in some business meeting where you do something similar.
Yeah.
Then he goes, okay, all of you, let's go back to our food, barbecue. If you could have barbecue as your main meal, go stand at this wall. If you want pizza as your main meal, go stand at this wall. Right. And just gave these different ideas. And suddenly you're now starting to see people that you're similar to on things that we all do. We live somewhere and we eat something. All right. If you like country music, go stand over here. If you don't like country music, you're wrong. Go back to the countryside.
Yeah. That's funny.
Oh,
I love
okay,
that
that
you
was
brought
mine.
that up though.
Or whatever it is, just get guys to see that there are people like them.
Definitely. That's actually a suggestion Cammy had this week as we were talking about this. I was saying, man, how do you get these guys to interact with each other? And she said, hey, you know what? Split your chairs in groups of two in the room, the gym, wherever you guys meet, right? You got the left side and the right side. And as they're coming in, maybe have posters on the wall or the whiteboard with arrows or whatever. Country over here, rock over here. And then the next week it's Asian food over here, Mexican food over here. And people are going to start, maybe the first time or two, people are going to ignore it because they don't know what it is. But once they start, they're going to walk in, they're going to look, and there's interesting. And they're going to walk to the side. They're not going to say much about it at first, right? This is the long game, right? But like I said, we're infiltrating. It's not going to happen day one. But eventually, people are going to start sitting on different sides, and it's going to swap each week to where people are sitting by different people, and you're getting to know different people that are in the ward. I think that would be so. It kind of goes along with what you're saying. This idea was having the chairs out at least, right? But it gets people to interact with those that are around them, and because I guarantee I sit down and be like, Mexican food, huh? What's your favorite Mexican restaurant around? Maybe not everybody's going to do that, but I am because I love to talk about food. And and so I think that it's huge, just stupid, simple things like that that help build just the tiniest little seed of camaraderie. And that's all we need, right? What is the
Yeah.
scripture that talks about a mustard seed of faith grows into, can move a mountain? It's the same thing here. Just the tiniest little bit of work here is going to just do wonders for the group over time. It's not going to happen overnight.
By the way, the handbook says the meeting begins with prayer. Then a member of the presidency leads the core members in counseling together for 5 to 10 minutes about relevant challenges, needs, and opportunities. What? We're supposed to counsel together? Dude, you're
Yeah,
not going to
yeah.
get anyone opened up about anything unless they feel like there is someone there that they can connect with.
Definitely. So I'm going to take a step back. So to kind of go through this, like from the outside coming all the way to the most important, right? So, well, not the most important, but like the center of it all. So starting with somebody in your quorum, one, two people, maybe it's you, maybe it's somebody you know, maybe you're going to do it with your eldest quorum president. I don't know. Somebody needs to start creating a group where people can start chatting in. That's going to help create a little bit of conversation. Then you're going to do some kind of activity that's, or beginning of elders quorum, take a couple minutes to help people, something to break the ice, right? Something to get some kind of conversation going, like you're talking about, standing at north, south, east, west, whatever it is, something like that. Then once you actually get there, the first 5 minutes, like you're talking about, first 5-10 minutes, let's talk about what we need to talk about. I think it's specifically in the handbook. You said it talks about, and I don't have it in front of me, I wish I did, but doesn't it say something about how we need to be talking about the things that the quorum needs? It,
The Elders Quorum presidency selects topics to counsel about based on the needs of the
thank
quorum
you.
members. Oh man, this could just open up a whole nother can, but most guys are not going to say, oh, I need this, I need that. We're too prideful,
Yeah.
even
Yeah. What?
amongst a place of safety. However, one thing that could be done, and I've heard other people do, is like send out an anonymous little thing to go, hey, answer this. What is something that's been keeping you up at night? I remember when I was serving as bishop, and this is back when we had, high priest group and elders quorum were separate. And so, yes, I'm old. Okay, whatever. But, but I had this high priest group leader one day in ward council. He stopped and he goes, "Bishop, what keeps you up at night?" That question has resonated with me every day since 2015 when he asked it,
Yeah.
because I like to think about, well, what does keep me up at night? What if I could find someone to share that with and could help lighten my load, to unburden me, but that would take me to express it? And, I think just sending out an anonymous poll? "Oh, hey, guys, are any of these things keeping you up at night? Or what keeps you up at night? And, what is something that's been on your mind lately?" Let them respond. You cut them up, you see what the distribution is, you put people in small groups, not this big gargantuan, to a small group and go, "All right, guys, why don't you talk about that for a couple minutes?"
We are supposed to be doing some kind of ministering so that we can learn about so I mean it starts with us, right? We do the ministering to learn about the needs of the people. We pass that on to the elders quorum presidency, who then takes that to a ward council, and then the bishoprics talks about it, right? This is how it's supposed to go, so that this is how it's currently going, so that people can get their needs met. But the thing is it's so broken that's not happening. I don't I have not had my minister show up once. Not once. Not one time have I had my minister show up. And I'm actually kind of okay with that because one, I don't know them super well, but two, I know who they are and we're in very different times of our life. So it's not like we're going to be friends. So, and so it's almost like, well, I wish that I had somebody that was a little bit close to my age. There's plenty of them in my ward. Um, but apparently I just was put into the older men group or something. I don't know. So, but
That's because you're so wise,
oh,
Andrew.
so wise, so wise. Oh, yeah, that's definitely not it. They probably just saw that I have 12-year-old twins and they're like, "Oh, definitely part of the older group." No, I'm just a young dad. Um, so, but the thing is it's not working, right? We're not doing our ministering. Even if we are doing our ministering, do we really have good relationships here where somebody the last time I had somebody ask me for a blessing as their minister, or what was it before ministering? It was as their
Home
ward
teacher?
missionary, home teacher, was back when you and I were companions, when I was a teenager. It's
Oh,
been
wow.
over 12 years, 14, it's been over 14 years since I have had somebody that I was ministering to request a blessing. That tells me that that 100% is a reflection of my job as a minister. I have not been succeeding, or else they would feel comfortable. If they're feeling comfortable, they're going to ask, but they're not doing that. So right now we're stuck in this group of men who nobody feels comfortable with each other. Nobody's willing to say what they need. And to your point, when we're not just going to come out and say it. So we need to come up with something. And I think that having some kind of Google Doc, like you're saying, is brilliant, because it's an anonymous way to say, hey, this is what I need. And I bet your first week, you may not even get a response, but you know what? Make one up of your own. Hey guys, one of the responses we got back, my own. One of the responses we got back was just really struggling with the fact that, just feeling as though, I don't know, the word of wisdom is unclear, because in verse 17 it says that corn is for the ox. And so are we not supposed to be eating corn, or what is the deal? And have
Oh my
and talk about it,
gosh.
right? I don't know. I just it's the stupidest thing in the whole world. I know. But um
Oh, that's too funny. Corn and ox. My first thought was, I was going back to what you said earlier about, if you like Asian food over here, if you like Mexican food over here. And I got sushi last night and they had sushi tacos. So I'm all, what if it's fusion? Where do you sit? Do you sit in the
yeah.
aisle?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
no, I think you're right. But I go back to, all right, no one's calling each other for those blessings. And what did I do? I don't have a ministering brother. Actually, I just got a ministering brother assigned to me a couple days ago. I'm not assigned yet, but I have one assigned. Super funny story about that. I was his ministering brother for 3 years, had a very difficult time, never once got into his house.
Huh.
and his address is blanked out. So I have no idea where he lives, but he's in our ward boundaries. That's all I know. And now he's my ministering brother. And I'm like, yeah, that's super funny because, Becky goes, Lord obviously needs the two of you together for something. And I don't know
Yeah.
what it is,
Well,
but isn't that true? The Lord needs us to be together for something. But who did I call? Not him. I called someone in the ward I'm comfortable with.
yeah.
I was like, "Hey, Connor, could you come over? I need help. Could you help me give a blessing to my daughter who's sick?" He goes, "Absolutely." He was here in like 4 minutes.
That's
So,
cool.
yeah,
Well, first off, you can now triangulate pretty much where this guy lives because your ward was split, and you know that this section wasn't in it, and this part still is. See, infiltration. We're gonna make this happen. We're
ugh.
we're we're gonna figure it. No, um,
Sunday, I'm gonna watch what car he's driving, and I'm gonna
yeah,
be like,
yeah,
"Okay, come on, sweetheart. We were going for a walk." She's like, "Again?" "Yes. All 6 streets. I'm gonna go
yeah.
up and down every single one. I'm gonna find that car."
Yeah.
She'll think I'm so
No.
funny.
Well,
Anyway,
yeah, I mean, so okay, so he is now your minister. Obviously,
yeah,
you didn't feel comfortable enough to call him, and this is where we're getting into, working our way in, right? We talked about what we could do as people. We talked about what we could do at the beginning of class. Now we're talking about how we're going to build a little bit of camaraderie. And I think that the next step is now elders quorum presidents and teachers need to step up because okay, we could do everything we can to build a little bit of camaraderie. It's only going to happen if you feel like eldest quorum, that 1 hour block is worth showing up for. I- And it's only going to be worth showing up for if we actually take the time to have a lesson that's even a little bit enjoyable.
a little bit enjoyable.
Like I'm asking for a little bit of work to go to your lesson.
You are asking for the 8th miracle is what you're asking for.
Yeah, I
Uh,
know. Uh,
okay,
I know.
but here's the reality. Let's just take lesson efficacy off the table. Let's just assume the lessons are going to suck,
Okay.
okay? I still think the responsibility to get to know one another falls upon us as the individual. And it still goes back to if lesson is great or bad. By the way, Kyle, if you're listening to this, your lesson was killer. I loved your lesson on Sunday in Elders Quorum. I actually came home and I was like, "So, sweetheart, it was our first day in Urine Release Society, my first day in Elders Quorum. How'd it go?" She goes, "Oh, mine was pretty good." I was like, "Mine was awesome." She goes, "What?
Yeah,
What?"
who says that? Who says that
Yeah,
about eldest quorum? Nobody.
it was so good. He did a great job just bringing it alive and applying the lesson to our day. But the reality is, take the lesson off the table. We still should be getting to know each other, and we still should be looking for opportunities to meet and greet each other. We were on a soccer tournament in Southern California years ago with Abby, and it was a Sunday. We're like, well, we've got a little bit of time before her first game, and there's a sacrament meeting. Showed up in our soccer tournament clothing.
Yeah.
Abby, like in full jersey. Okay. I was in shorts and a t-shirt, mom too, and we showed up. I'll tell you what, maybe it's because we looked so different, but people just came flying up to us. "Hey, how are you doing? Blah, blah, blah." Guess what? The next time we were there, guess which ward we went to?
I mean, that same one
That
for
one.
sure.
Why? Because they were interested in us. See, that's not a calling. That is not a calling. That is just simply being, I'm a human, they're a human. Let me get to know them.
Yeah.
And I think if we did more of that before church or after church or in the hall, just, hey, you see someone in the grocery store talking to Dallas today at the gym, him and his wife, Karina. Yeah, okay. See, I like literally just met them. They sat next to us in church a couple weeks ago. Saw them at the gym. My first thing, I'm a dork. I'm all I looked at him like, 9 a.m. must be nice to roll out of bed so late, type of a deal. And but it was fun just to talk to someone and find out we both work out at the gym 6 days a week. It was
Yeah.
awesome.
You know, your little story actually reminded me of right before my mission. When I was 18 years old, I was working for Comcast and I had that little work truck. I was installing systems for them. And I had one Sunday where I was just feeling really frustrated because I was trying to prepare for my mission. I was having to work every single Sunday, a little different than what I thought it was going to be. But I had this one job. I go and I do it. I had a little bit of a break before my next job, and as I'm driving up towards it, I was like, well, I can either show up early, or there's this church right here, and I just decided to walk in. I'm in my work boots, work pants, a hoodie, a hat. I mean, I took my hat off, obviously, but um and Sacrament had started a couple minutes before. It's a fast Sunday. I look over and there's this one guy just sitting in a pew by himself. So I walk over. I'm like, "Hey, can I sit here?" And he goes, "Yeah." And I sit down and I look at him. Oh my goodness, it's Kyle Whittingham. I don't know if I ever told you about that, but it was Kyle Whittingham. So I'm sitting next to Kyle Whittingham, super nice guy. At one point, I just felt really impressed to bear my testimony. So I get up there and just talk about how I'm really grateful to live where I live because I was
In your
able to
work
find a
clothes.
church. Yeah, in my work clothes. I'm at the pulpit because that's just the kind of guy I am. I'm not going to wait. I'm not going to show up just because, or not go up just because I'm in work clothes. I don't think God cares. I think He cares that I'm there. I got up there, bore my testimony, sat back down. Kyle scooted over, put his arm around me, just patted me, and that was just the coolest thing ever. Knowing that, I mean, I'm a huge BYU fan, right? Go Cougs, right? Go Cougs. But thank you, Kyle. Thank you. Because years later, we're talking 14, almost 15 years later, I still remember that moment and it impressed me because you took a couple moments to care about me as a person.
Yes.
And it was really, really appreciated. And so I think that's all we need to do is just care about people as people. That's what it comes down to. How do you want to be treated? According to Reddit, a lot of these guys are saying, well, I don't want to be talked to. No, I think you do. I think you're just so disassociated from it because it hasn't happened for so long. It hasn't been a good experience for so long that you're saying that you don't want it. But you know what? I bet if somebody asked you on Sunday about whatever video game it is that you play or whatever book you've been reading or whatever sport you've been watching, you'd be pretty appreciative to talk about it.
I
So, yeah,
100%. I completely agree with you. And I think that's kind of my thoughts about this whole thing about Elders Quorum is broken because we are broken. We need to be the ones that are willing to show up, look stupid. Wait, can we say that on podcast? Is that gonna be bleeped out? I don't know. We need to be willing to look uncomfortable, out of place. We need to be the ones that are going, "They may think I'm a crazy fool."
yeah,
But it doesn't matter. Find out and figure out who's next to you because I think you're right. As soon as you start talking with someone, "Hey, I wanna take my wife out on a date Friday night. Have you been to any good restaurants? Her birthday's coming up. What did you do for your wife's birthday?" "Oh, I got her flowers." "Great. Where'd you go?" Like, just whatever it is, just get out of your own head and start connecting with people because like
yeah,
Kyle did with you, I have a story like that too. And then we'll end, but, I don't know if I shared this here, but I was working at the church and I got up from my desk and I turned the corner and this guy puts his arm around me and it's Elder Richard G. Scott.
wow, that's cool. That's super
And
cool.
as we walked, he goes, "Mark, how are you doing?" And my franticness, my stress, my overwhelm, my I have to go get this thing done because we are on a timeline, quickly just pulled away and all of my reserves and all of my barriers came down because a man, an apostle, showed me what true love was about. He just asked, "How are you doing?" If we did that more, I think we would change the world, but it
I agree.
starts with us as the individual.
Yeah, it doesn't take being an apostle, right? We can all do it for each other. Just be a little bit more genuine, care about people a little bit more, and just a little bit of effort from one or two people is going to make a huge difference, for sure.
Absolutely. Hey, you want more community? You want more time with other people? Come join us on the Full Ascend experience. Go to thehappinessbreakthrough.com. And I think there's even just like a join right there, and it'll take you to where you could join us. It's a free online community. What the heck?
Yeah.
Yes, you could purchase coaching. Yes, you could get VIP coaching. What I'm really interested in is come join us and be with a group of guys who are trying to figure this whole thing out, who still go, yeah, I'd rather hang out with my wife on a Friday night, but I also would like to have friends. I would
Yeah.
like to be more successful in my health, but I also want to be able to eat on the side and have fun. Like wherever you are on the spectrum of whatever it is in your life, just come join us, the Full Ascend experience. Go to thehappinessbreakthrough.com and smash that join now. We would love to have you there. Uh, we do free weekly coaching on there. I mean, why
Yeah.
not?
Absolutely. Free weekly coaching, right? You've got the free weekly coaching. We've got the courses that we have on there. We have the community for you to join. And if you have any ideas about how to make Elders Quorum better, come share it in the group, and then we'll be able to take it to our Elders Quorum as well.
I
Absolutely.
love that. Let's apply this, brethren. All right, y'all. Have an amazing week. We will chat with you next week. In the
See you
meantime,
guys,
go full ascend
and go Cougs.
and go Cougs.